Bonjour, je m'appelle Neha Rajpurohit. Je suis votre professeur de français. Hello everyone, my name is Neha Rajpurohit and I'm going to teach you French. Before beginning with our French beginner course, I would like you all to think about those days when you were learning A, B, C, D of English. Yes, we are going to have the same letters or the alphabets for French as well, but the sounds and pronunciations are quite different. Also, we'll study today accentuated vowels. In English, we have A-E-I-O-U vowels, but in French, we'll have additionally one more, that is Y, and there are accents on it. So let's study that and begin with our first lecture of French beginner course. So our first topic is alphabet. Alphabet in French is called as l'alphabet. L'alphabet. You might be thinking, what is this L? Why there is apostrophe before the alphabet? Don't worry, soon you will also able to understand that and you will be able to jot down on your own. But before going ahead, we need to study is voyelle accentui. These are the accents which is put above the vowels. Let's see what are they. The first is grave accent. Grave accent is the small sign above the E and it will change the sound of E. Usually in French, E is pronounced as A, but with this grave on it, it will have the sound of A. Yes, just like in word bat. And the same accent is also applicable on A and U, and we'll study about it later. Next we have is acute accent. This acute accent is just opposite of grave accent, but it will have the same sound as in English only. It means with this accent, it will have the sound of E as E only. Then we have is circumflex. Circumflex is the small open triangle above the E. It will make the sound of E little longer, just like A in play. After that, we have is French and this reversed E. This French reversed E is basically have the sound of U. Yes, but it will have little shorter sound of U. It will be just U. U. After that, we have is the cedilla. Cedilla is one of the exception in this accentuated vowel. Why? Because it is not put below the vowel. It is instead it is put below an alphabet that is C, that is a consonant, right? So this cedilla says that usually the sound of C is K in English or whether it is in French. But with this cedilla sign below the C, it will have the sound of S in French. Just like in word garçon. Garçon. As you can see that here we are having the sound of C as S, not the K. It means boy. After that we have is diaresis. Diaresis is called as trema in French. It is applicable only when there are two consecutive vowels in the same word that you can see over here in word Noel. Basically in Noel, you can see that on second consecutive vowel, there is two dot above it, that is trema. It says that the sound of this word will get separated from here. So it will sound as no, al, no, al. It means Christmas. So this were our accentuated vowels. Now let's begin with the alphabets and the roots of any language. So the first alphabet is A. A will have sound of ah, just like in word father. After that we have is B. B will have sound as B. B, just like in word bat. Then we have is C. C will have sound of say. Yes. C is basically having the sound of K when it is used with the word or when it is used in a word, but alone C will be called as say. And if we put cedilla below it that we have already studied, it will have the sound of as, that is sir. Next we have is D. D will be sound as they. They. But when it is in word, it will have the sound as the. Just like in the word they. Then we have is E. This reversed E means whatever the sound is, it will sound little shorter. Usually the E has the sound of A, but a shorter A. It will be just a. Yes, just like in a word again. After that is F. That is a bonus letter to you. Why? Because it will have the same sound as in English. Yes, the F will have the sound of F, just like in English. For an example, in a word food or fat. G will have sound of G, J, J when it is in the word after letter E or I. Once again, G will have the sound of J when it is in the word after E or I. Means whenever G comes after E and I in any word, it will have the sound as J, just like S in measure. Otherwise, it will have the same sound as English. For an example, word as girl, yes, we have the sound of G. Alone, it will be called as J. J. H will have the sound as ash. But the most funniest part about French language, I feel that H is never pronounced in any of the French word. Yes, whenever we use H in any word, it is silent or it is not pronounced. For an example, in a word, urine. Urine. Yes, H is silent. Urine means happy. You might have heard the word hooray. Yes, it has the same sound, but it is urine. Then we have is I. I will have the sound of E. Yes, alone it is called E and it will be same in word also, just like in a word see. It will have the sound as E. J will have the sound of G. Yes, J will have the sound of G. Usually it is reversed like G will have as in sound J and G alone when it is in the alphabet. Okay, G will have sound as J and J will have sound as G, just like in a word garage. Then next is K. K will have sound as Ka. But it is same as English only. In a word, it will have the sound of K only. Then you have a bonus letter that is L, M, N. This three will have the same sound as in English. So this is really a bonus letter to you. You do not need to remember it or memorize it. It will be same as English only, just like L in elephant, M in market, or N in national. Then we have is O. O will also sound like English only, but it will be little shorter. It's just O. Yes. For an example, in a word holiday. Now, what if I want to pronounce this holiday in French? So it will be holiday. Holiday. Yes, because H will not be pronounced. O will be called as A. I will be called as E. And D will be called as the. Right? So it will become holiday. Isn't it a fun? Yes, that's what we used to do when we used to learn French. We used to use our name or we used to select any word, and of that word we were using the sounds of French alphabet, and we used to make the new sound of our name. So that also you can play with your own or with your friends also. It will really become a fun for you. Now let's go ahead. P will have the sound as pay, just like in word palette. Then Q will have sound as ku. Yes, but it will have the sound of ka only. Then R. R is the most difficult letter to be pronounced because it has to be pronounced through thought and it will have the pronunciation as R. Yes, it is quite difficult to pronounce. In fact, for me also it's difficult. I hope you will do it much better than me. Sound of R is like in a word iron. The next we have is S. Again, a bonus letter to you. The same pronunciation just as in English. S will have the sound as S only, or in a word, it is so. Then we have is T. T will have sound as te when it is pronounced alone, and when it is in a word. See, remember, never use a letter as t. T in French we have is t, never t. Okay, so whenever you want to pronounce T in any of the French word, then it will be T. Okay, and it will be pronounced as te. Then we have is you. You is pronounced as ooh. It's quite unique, right? It's just like a sound of bird. Ooh. For an example, in a word boot or root or book, it will have the sound of double O. Then next is we. We will be called as way. Way. Yes, but the pronunciation is same as English. It will have the pronunciation of verb, such as in word when. W will be called as W. Why? Because when we join this two V, it will become W. So it will be W, or W means double V, right? When we join double V, or when we make it double V, it becomes W. But the sound is same as in English. We will have the sound of W only, just like in a word we can. Next we have is X. X will be called as X, but the sound is same as in English. X will have the sound of Z, just like in xylophone. When the word begins with X, it will have the sound of Z, and in between it will have the sound of X only. Then next is Y. Y alone is called as Y. Y in French. But when we use in a word, it is same as English only. It will have the sound of Y. Yeah, just like in the word age. Then we have Z. Z has the sound as Z. There's a mistake over here by me. It should be D over here. It should be Z-E-D. So Z will be called as Z only, just like English. A bonus letter to you again. It will have the same sound as in English, just like Z in zebra. So these were the alphabets. I want you all to read again with me. Let's start then. A as A, B as B, C as C, D as D, E as A, F as F, G as G or J, H as H, I as E, J as G, K as K, L as L, M as M, N as N, O as O, P as P, Q as Q, R as S as S, T as T, U as U, V as V, W as W, W, X as X, Y as Y, Z as Z. Let's read the alphabets of French only. You can read it with me. Let's start. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Y, Z. So those were the alphabets in French, and that is how you read it. So homework for you guys, you have to go through these letters again and try to make the sound, try to use the sound of French alphabets in your name. So that will also become a fun study for you. So that's it for today. See you in our next lecture. Thank you.